In the book, in the Wildlight, grief is a common theme and just an overall common part of it. Cash's entire experience is throughout his stay at the new school that he's going to the death of his grandfather, is just what overwhelmingly shapes him as a person, but also the entire book. Cash's grandfather was sick, and I understand him from both a grandson, but also as a person, like how that affects him. When I was 2 years old, my grandfather hung himself, and it was a really hard experience for my entire family. I had two amazing people step up for that role. My step-grandfather, Mark, and my great-grandfather, Glenn. He passed away recently, almost a year ago. And I understand what Cassius feels throughout this entire thing, both as a psychologist and a psychoanalyst, but also as a great-grandson. It's a hard and difficult thing, and I kind of want to make this book, this video essay, to both honor my great-grandfather, but also to show that I can also understand and relate what Cassius is going through. Even though he's fictional, it's really struck a chord for me throughout this entire book. So, first thing I want to get out of the way is that I am no means an expert. I'm still studying psychology, but I still want to put in my 2 cents and my own experience in this entire book. So, first thing, there's 5 stages when it comes to grief. All right, you have denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. First one, denial. Cash just lost his grandfather, and when he was helping with his mama, going through the house, help cleaning, picking stuff up, he keeps hearing his voice. He keeps seeing him. He still thinks that he is there, and he's just one room away. A direct quote was, "I kept expecting to hear his voice through the screen door. Say my name like you always do." Cash drawn out like a song. Denial isn't just disbelief. It's an unconscious defense against the idea of loss and pain. And it shapes our reality. It takes us as humans to ignore what is happening. It makes our reality a fantasy and fantasy reality, basically. But it crushes us. It really does. By his mind replaying that Papa's voice over and over again, he's refusing to let it go. He's refusing to let his Papa rest, because in his mind, he's still alive. He's still out there. And it's a way to transform his grief and his loss and his confusion throughout this entire mess, that he's still alive. And I understand. I mean, first 2 hours, my Papa passed. My Papa Glenn. I just kind of sat in my room. I didn't believe it happened. I honestly just went to bed. I woke up and I just thought he's still fine. He's all right. It's okay. And it wasn't. I just didn't accept it. I thought maybe if I just go down to the hospital, he'll still be there. He'll be fine. But he wasn't. He passed. And it was a difficult thing to accept. And it led me to the next step, anger. Cash's entire tone shifts from that. He goes from distant disbelief of the entire scenario to overly emotional and hostile to people, even to the ones around him. He even blames the world for a lot of the issues that has happened. And he even says it in this quote, "There's no fairness to who gets taken. The good ones go, and the world keeps the rest." Cash isn't angry at the world. He's just angry that out of all the good people, out of every person, the worst people on earth get to live, like Tripp, while his grandfather, his father figure, passes away. And he just can't accept it. He thinks this is unfair. This is the worst thing ever. He's putting like all this emotions of hatred towards the idea that the world is to blame. And another thing he also says is, "I hated myself for not being there when he took his last breath," which also reveals a little bit of self-hatred that he has. Self-hatred about himself for not spending enough time, not being there, and how he should have done better. I completely understand. Last year, around this time actually, I had a mental breakdown at school. I skipped like 6th and 7th period because I was talking to a counselor, bawling my eyes out about how it's not fair. My great-grandfather, when I was younger, would always come to my house with reds like donut holes, and he would always spend time with us till I was about 5 or 6 years old, and it was a painful experience. I always had fun with him. He always told us stories, and he was a great guy. He might have had some flaws, but I always loved him. And I honestly got angry after his passing. I would be quicker to snap at my sisters. I would yell at them more. I would get angry for people for asking. I honestly avoided that conversation altogether because I didn't want to talk to anybody. And I especially hated myself, which I kind of believe that caused a lot of baggage on myself for this. And I feel like that's probably what's happening with Cash, because his own self-hatred is burying him deep inside and causing him to have more pain over the loss, blaming himself for the death. Eventually, his rage does subside. But the next part, bargaining, is Cash thinking, what if he did this? What if he done that? This is a common response of like, when you lose a loved one, usually a grandparent, you always think like, why didn't I spend more time? Why wasn't I nicer to them? What if I did this instead? And depression is probably one of the biggest ones of this step, because it makes or breaks a person. It made and break my grandfather, and it almost made and break me. Floyd described mourning as an ego identifying what's been lost, absorbing the loved one into oneself. One thing that Cash said, I moved through the days like I was underwater. Everything slowed and muffled. He became an emotional echo of Papa, quiet, gentle, and withdrawal. But his identification was double-edged. He kind of killed his own identity to become like his grandfather's. He basically kept his ideas of his Papa alive while destroying his own self. And he basically was trying to lose his ego. He was trying to lose, when I'm saying ego too, I want to clarify, I'm not talking about like pride. I'm talking about your consciousness. And he's trying to kill his own consciousness to become more like his Papa, because if his Papa lives on, everything's all right. Because his Papa was this pillar for him. Everything he stood for. He was his father figure. He was his father. That's basically it. Not biologically, but mentally and like spiritually, he was his father figure in his life. And it completely broke him when he was lost. especially for someone his age. And that led to a lot of unresolved mourning, because it just destroyed Crash. I understand what that feels. When my papa died, it really was a tone shift. My papa Glenn, I hated myself. I blamed myself. I hated others. I hated everything. I walked further from God than I think I ever had. And I thought about killing myself. That was something I actually thought about, because I felt like I lost someone I loved to death. And I don't want him to go. It should have been me. He was a great man. He served during the Korean War. He served for our nation. He did amazing things. He was caring. He was loving. He came to my house when I lost a grandfather, and he took his place. And I understand where Cash is coming from. The idea of letting him live on for himself by making this new persona, by becoming him. But he's putting down his own feelings, his own resolved issues. And I recently came to terms myself with the acceptance, the last part of it all. Because Cash, towards the end, understood that he was grieving. He was channeling pain into a creation, and he connected and almost let it kind of consume him. But he learned a new way. One of his lines was, "He taught me how to be a man. Maybe that's how I keep him alive, by living the way he showed me." He's using sublimination. It means he's taking his own grief, his own pain, his own feelings in something, and turning it into something beautiful, something meaningful, something that's changing people. He's not letting it consume him. He's not letting it wreck his life. He is taking it and making it into something that his grandfather would be proud of him. And that is through Cash's poetry, the stuff he's writing. Waitlist was about his mother, and he wrote it, and it was beautiful. And he's using that pain of his own mother's loss, and then his other letters, poetry that he's made. He turned it from his loss, from his grandfather, his father figure that was actually there for him, and made it into something. Probably one of the quotes I reread recently, because I was trying to think about this book more and more, and I didn't read it as much as I liked. Cash said this: "I feel him in the light, and the quiet place he loved, where I met him." Cash realized that integrating Popple into his mind and inside his ego is not as a loss, but as a legacy. By turning him not into a source of pain, but a source of wisdom and love, can transform him to become a better man, a better person, and someone to love. I'm turning from what my own Papa taught me, from what my Papa has told me, and I'm using it as a way to transform myself. I'm not going to let it consume me. I'm not going to let it change how I believe or think. I'm letting the positives in my life, my own love for my friends, my students, my parents, my relationships. I want to protect them. I want to love them. And so I'm not going to grieve myself. I'm not going to hurt myself because of it. Because really, that was the direction I was heading. I was using that pain as an excuse to even lead me into self-destruction. But that's not what I'm supposed to do. That's not my mission. That's not what God wanted me to do. So I learned to turn my pain into something that changes. I want to be there for people. And Cash does too. Cash wants to do it through writing. I want to do it through both my proof of my spiritual belief and also my love for others. And that's why, honestly, I relate to Cash so much, because he is so caring. He loves all his friends, his families. He loved his pawpaw to death, and he wants to make a difference. He wants to change. I do too. And I think if Cash was real, and if his pawpaw was alive towards the end of his life, towards Cash's life, he would see and be proud of Cash. Like I know that my pawpaw, if he saw me now, would be proud of me. So that's what I believe about the book. This is what I think In the Wild Light is about. It's about how to conquer your grief, become someone better, someone that your relatives, your friends would be proud of in their passing.